Hi, my name is Andrea Kisby. My topic is calcified spleen and gallstone. Definition: calcified spleen superficial calcification are punctual lesions located on the surface of the liver. Its most common origin in meconium peritonitis, which is why it's usually seen concomitantly with peritoneal calcifications. Subcapsular superficial calcifications may be due to release of emboli from the portal vein and from the hepatic veins. Gallstones. Gallstones are hardened deposits of digestive fluid that can form in your gallbladder.
Hey guys, I want to talk about gallstone symptoms. Okay, what are they? Number one, bloating, indigestion, burping or belching, which is kind of the same thing, constipation, sometimes diarrhea, but more constipation, pain or cramping underneath the right rib cage. Okay, right there. Right scapular pain. That's right on that bone in the back there. Could be on the inside or right underneath the tip of the scapula. It can go up into the upper back, up into the neck, into the face, anything in the right shoulder. It's worse when you eat greasy, fatty junk foods, like a donut. Chest pain. Why? Because the gallbladder could be swollen, backed up, putting pressure on the liver, which is then putting pressure on the heart. Nausea, vomiting, your stools float or they're lighter color, like a gray or a light brown. So these are indicators that there could be gallstones. Okay, so the question is, what causes gallstones? Number one, decreased bile, B-I-L-E. Bile is the detergent that dissolves the grease. It's the thing that dissolves cholesterol so that it doesn't form into a stone. So some people say that what causes gallstones is eating greasy foods. But greasy foods triggers the release of bile. It's really the combination of lower bile because you can't digest certain cholesterol particles, and it also backs up the liver and creates an imbalance. But it's really the combination of higher levels of insulin. Insulin will decrease the bile production. Okay, so really it's the insulin behind that. That's why so many diabetics have gallstones, but other people do as well. If you take an average person that has gallstones, they're usually on a high carb sugar diet. Let's take myself, for example. When I was going through college, I was making some meatloaf, okay? And I had the recipe from my grandmother, but of course, I never read the directions. I just kind of summarize it. I didn't see at the bottom line where you had to drain the grease from the meatloaf, the tray. I didn't do that. So here I took a pound of hamburger with bread and ketchup, which is all sugar, cooked it with all the grease, okay? Now, what that's going to do, it's going to massively trigger the insulin spike because anytime you combine meat with sugar, you really accentuate and add the spike of insulin there. So I basically went to bed consuming that whole meatloaf, woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning with the most severe gallbladder attack you can possibly imagine. Now, I didn't have a stone that I knew of, but these symptoms are similar to a gallbladder attack. You know, it doesn't necessarily always have to come to a stone. It could just be an irritation to the gallbladder itself. Okay. So anyway, little did I know it was my gallbladder, and I had started getting right shoulder pain. That just kept going on until about 12 years later, I finally figured out the connection, improved my gallbladder, and all my right shoulder pain completely went away. I never had a problem again. But the point is that these two combinations, low bile and high insulin from eating junk or sugar, will definitely set you up for a gallbladder symptom or a gallstone. What's interesting is people have the gallbladder out, and then they don't change the diet. They think they can keep eating, and they get the pain back. You know, I'll do another video on that specifically. So now, what do we do to improve the bile and decrease the insulin? I'll put some links down below, but you need to go on the ketogenic eating plan and intermittent fasting together. Both of those are essential to improve your gallbladder function. Okay, I'll put some links down below. I also recommend one product called the Gallbladder Formula, and the reason I recommend it is simply because it will give you actual purified bile salts to give you a jump start, to start to dissolve this. See, bile is recycled, so if you lose the bile somehow and you don't have enough, you're always going to be deficient unless you put some back. So we want to add some purified bile salts, but in the formula I put something in there to lubricate the duct, the bile ducts, so it can go through easy. I also put something in there, an herb to help dissolve the stone. It's called stone root. I also put something in there to help you increase your enzymes for the pancreas, to take the stress off the gallbladder. I also put something to acidify the stomach called betaine hydrochloride to help the stomach activate more bile release. So there's a lot of things in there to help heal the gallbladder, improve the situation, and the combination of these would be exactly what you need to do to handle a stone or improve gallbladder symptoms. Thanks for watching. Hey, you probably already subscribed, but if you haven't, press this little button down below, and I will...
Applications in medicine. People who experience symptoms from their gallstone usually require gallbladder removal surgery. Gallstones that don't cause any signs and symptoms typically don't need treatment. Pros and cons. Gallbladder removal. Pros. Eliminates gallstone symptoms. Solve any dietary issue. Gallbladder removal surgery is safe. There are only small incisions. The recovery process takes up only a week or two. Weight loss advantage. Cons. There is a possibility of short bowel movement, risks associated with the gallbladder removal, injury to bile duct. It increases complications if the surgery will be taken longer.
The gallbladder is a small sac located underneath the liver. The gallbladder serves to store and concentrate bile. Bile is a yellowish-green fluid secreted by the liver and contains bile acids which aid in fat digestion and absorption. Bile flows through the bile duct into the duodenum, the first part of the small intestine. After filling the bile duct, it overflows into the gallbladder, where it is stored for later use. After a high-fat meal, the gallbladder contracts to pump bile into the duodenum. Gallstones are hard masses formed in the gallbladder. Gallstones may cause obstruction of the cystic duct and excruciating pain when the gallbladder contracts. This usually happens after a fatty meal and is commonly referred to as gallbladder attack. Blockage of the cystic duct is a common complication caused by gallstones. Other less common but more serious problems occur when gallstones become lodged down the path of the biliary tree. When gallstones block the common bile duct, they prevent bile from reaching the intestine. This causes jaundice, poor fat digestion, and subsequently leads to infection of the bile duct or cholangitis. Gallstones may also obstruct the pancreatic duct, forcing pancreatic enzymes to back up in the pancreas. This damages the pancreatic tissues and triggers inflammatory response. This condition is known as acute pancreatitis, or sudden inflammation of the pancreas. The most common treatment for gallstones is the surgical removal of the gallbladder, or cholecystectomy. Laparoscopic cholecystectomy is currently the standard procedure for gallbladder removal. This minimally invasive procedure requires only several small incisions in the abdomen, and thus results in less pain and quicker recovery. The cystic duct and cystic artery are clipped with tiny titanium clips and cut. The gallbladder is then dissected and removed through one of the incisions. After surgery, bile enters the intestine without being concentrated in the gallbladder, and may not be sufficient after a high-fat meal. A low-fat diet is therefore recommended after removal of the gallbladder.
Issue applied in Ecuador. In Ecuador, it frequent and constitutes the third cause of hospital discharge, appearing in 10 out of 10,000 inhabitants, said Dr. Miguel Soria, and a gastroenterologist at the Ecuadorian Institute of Digestive Disease. In the United States, 20% of the population have gallstones, and a third of them develop acute cholecystitis due to not being treated in time.
Hello, I am Carl Lowe Jr. from Carolina Surgical of Charlotte, and in this video I'm going to review some basic gallbladder anatomy and show how stones in the gallbladder can cause abdominal pain, and also how removing the gallbladder can alleviate that pain. The gallbladder is located in the right upper abdomen underneath the liver, just behind the rib cage on the right side. The liver produces bile, which is used to digest food. The bile is secreted down the bile ducts and stored in the gallbladder. Whenever you eat a meal, the gallbladder contracts and it pumps the bile down the bile duct into the intestine, where again that bile is used to help digest foods, especially fatty foods. If you develop stones in the gallbladder, then one of those stones can roll into the neck of the gallbladder and obstruct it. Now, when you eat a meal, the gallbladder is trying to pump, but is pumping against an obstruction. For that reason, it can't empty its bile, and that can cause severe pain in the right upper abdomen. The pain can also be in the central upper abdomen, and the pain can radiate around to the back or shoulder blades, and can be associated with nausea or vomiting. Typically, you'll have that pain until the stone rolls out of the way back down into the gallbladder, and once that happens, the gallbladder can empty. Because the stone can roll in and out of the neck of the gallbladder, the pain can come and go, and that's very classic and typical for gallbladder pain. The solution is to remove the entire gallbladder, stones and all, and what we do is place a clip across the cystic duct, which is the duct that connects the gallbladder to the common bile duct, and then we remove the gallbladder. This treatment is very effective at alleviating the symptoms of gallstones, and you can see that since the liver is the organ that makes the bile anyway, bile can still flow normally down the bile duct into the intestine for normal digestion after surgery. Well, I hope that answers some of your questions about your gallbladder.
Conclusion. Gallstone is formed by various alterations in the metabolism of some components of the bile, with cholesterol lithiasis being the most frequent. The association with other environmental and genetic factors play a key role in its development. The majority of the patients do not present symptoms and all things being the pain in the right epicondyle, the symptom must referred by the patients.